Dave, we talked about the top contenders for the title this season so far, and that was Arsenal and Man City, who both lost. Now, what about the teams that might take advantage of that in a potential title race? Amongst those in that conversation, it looks like it's Nottingham Forest, who climbed to third, which is surreal, but not undeserved. And I got some stick on our channel from some Forest fans saying, why are you surprised that Forest are where they are? They're a club with so much history that it feels like there's a place for them, and that is at the top seat of English football. But I think after the couple of seasons they've had recently, this still feels like a surprise. And Forest fans have to agree with me here. They can't have seen a third place position after 10 games, surely not. And they do say, Dave, don't they, that after 10 games is the first time to really look at the Premier League table and go, yeah, this might be how it might look at the end of the season. Do you think Forest fans are dreaming at the minute?
I don't think that. I can't see any reason why not, why they shouldn't. I can compare it, actually. It's similar to the Villa situation last year for me. If you look at what Villa have been through over the last couple of years.
Probably.
And I've seen comparisons made to the Leicester team, the title winning team as well.
But I think the thing with Forest is that we keep wondering whether this is, above where we think they will be, but they keep doing things that keep making us realise they're actually better than we realise. And so many players have proved that in the first 10 games of the season. Obviously, Chris Wood, we mentioned last week, has suddenly become a really great finisher with the right players around him. And that's another thing. Their forward line, the midfielders, the attacking midfielders have all stepped up brilliantly. And obviously the goals they scored in this game, albeit against 10 men of West Ham for the most part, were fantastic quality. They're a really good attacking team on the counter, aren't they? And this was proof of that again.
Oh, certainly. I mean, it's not going to be the last to see of their counter-attacking prowess. I think they've shown it throughout the season and through different players. We mentioned about the options that they have now, and Callum Hudson-Odoi has been absolutely superb for me this season. I think we're still waiting for Anthony Elanga to step up and show some of the promise that he did last season. I think he's had a little bit more of a slow start, but I think he'll get up and running. But yeah, I think just creativity-wise, they've got just so much there now, haven't they? And
yeah,
I think Hudson-Odoi, for me, he's the key man for them. I think it's just a breath of fresh air to watch him, and I think it's great actually considering the injury problems that he had, and I think showing the promise that he did at such a young age at Chelsea, and was linked with a massive move to Bayern Munich for 40 million, which seems ridiculous for the pennies that he did go for in the end to Forest. They're profiting massively from his re-emergence, should we say? And Chris Wood, he just keeps putting them away, doesn't he?
He does, but the service he's getting is brilliant, and this goal was not as spectacular as some of the goals he's scored lately, but he's in the right place at the right time with a critical header in a great position. So he's doing what you always want him to do, but I think now he's got those players around him. It's being made to look a lot easier.
I think if you look at a lot of his goals this season, you look at his positioning in the 6-yard box in the penalty area.
Yeah.
I think you've got to give a lot of credit to those coaching staff, because there's been a recurring theme with a lot of these goals, and I think some of the patterns and some of the team play that we've seen has been brilliant to watch. Between those the wingers, I think the likes of Hudson-Odoi and Elanga have been a real thorn in defence's sides, and I think they've creativity-wise have been superb.
I think you've got to look at the defence as well, especially at the full-back positions. I think Ola Aina as well with his goal was fantastic, and I don't know if you saw his interview at the end of the game where he was kind of joking about the finish, and he knew it was going to go in as soon as it left his boot and stuff like that. There's a good camaraderie amongst them, and he's one of those characters that I think's really come to the fore. Moreno as well on the other side, and those centre backs as well. We mentioned it last week, didn't we? Milenkovic and Murillo are just a different dimension for what we saw in the last season, where they were shipping so many poor goals from set pieces, from corners. Milenkovic has answered that problem brilliantly. They don't seem that brittle anymore because of his ability in the air, especially, and Murillo's ability on the ground. They seem like a defensive unit too, which has kind of enabled everybody in front of them to perform well. And I include the midfield in that. Like the injuries they've got in midfield are ridiculous, and stepping in has become Ryan Yates and Nico Dominguez, who was not the first choice pairing by any means, but throughout the pitch, they feel like a settled team now. And that's got to be, credit to Nuno Espirito Santo. I think he's doing a great job.
I think the key for me is the continuity. I think that's there. No matter what teams put out, they put performance in, and there's consistency, which is great for them. I mean, you mentioned some of the defensive problems they had last season, and it seems that they've sorted those, which is superb for Forest fans. And I think the kind of coach that Nuno is, he's always looked to set up, with a solid structure, and something that some of his Wolverhampton teams is shown in the past, and they've built from there. And you look at that kind of that team that they've got there now. It's who's to say what their limitations are in this season now.